Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Senator Marilou McPhedran, and I am a co-founder and co-chair of the Canadian Association of Feminist Parliamentarians, which had some difficulties during COVID, as so many organizations did, but we are relaunching today with this parliamentary pledge. We have a number of parliamentarians with us, and as we each speak briefly, we will sign the pledge. So I'll begin. And I will pass this now to my co-chair, MP Lindsay Mathyssen.
Thank you so much, Marilou. And I'm honored to sign along with these incredible women that stand with us for the pledge. And I don't know if I can do two things at the same time. There we go. To sign this pledge. And I wanted to thank the Canadian Association of Feminist Parliamentarians as well. It's an incredible organization. My mother was one of the founders of it, and I'm proud to be a part of it today going forward. I did want to speak to why we've come forward with this pledge to all parliamentarians today. For quite some time, many of us have felt the temperature rise in our respective chambers and the lack of respect that has been seen, whether that's in the chamber itself, in committees, in our everyday work. And I know that we're not the only ones. So many people, whether you're on the front lines at a grocery store or you're working your everyday job, those public-facing people in all levels of government as well have been feeling a lack of civility that is growing. And I also knew that we had to do something about it. So when I worked for a member of parliament many years ago, 2014, 2015, this House of Commons started conversations about sexual harassment and what that meant member to member. But we were never able to have a fuller conversation about harassment in the larger scope. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to really put into our institution what I feel we can take from it, and that leadership we need to see, and that my family has given so much to, and that we believe in. So I'm on the standing committee for Procedure and House Affairs with Sherry Romanato, and we had a conversation. She had put forward a motion to the Proc Committee about member-to-member harassment and some of the loopholes that she saw within that policy. And I wanted to build from that because I know that harassment, like I said, it has a larger impact. It impacts us, of course, in our work. It impacts our staff. It impacts the clerks in the House and in committee. It impacts interpreters, the support staff that we rely upon all the time. And I didn't want that to continue. So through that committee, and I know that the Senate, and I hope that the senators will have a conversation about what they are seeing on their side of Parliament and in their own committee, but we heard really difficult truths from some parliamentarians. Some are not even reoffering because of what they're facing, especially as women. And we heard specifically from Pam Damoff, Urqa Khalid. Pam laid a pretty sad picture at Proc Committee. But she also talked about this incredible initiative that was brought forward by the Burlington Mayor, Marianne Mead Ward, from the Halton region, and parliamentarians or council members in that region who came together and signed this pledge and talked about being a witness to what they saw and speaking out against what they saw and supporting each other, taking that time to think about what that meant. So I talked to Sherry, and we moved pretty fast in order to bring this together. But we thought that it was really, really important. I spoke to Marilou as the co-chair of the Feminist Parliamentarians group, and I knew that this was something we wanted to move forward with. So Marilou was incredible. Her team was incredible. Pulled it all together really fast, and so we stand here before you today with this initiative. I certainly don't want to put pressure on parliamentarians, but I do hope that, of course, they sign it, that this is a start to something. This is a start to that conversation. It's a start to a realization of what we need to do and how we need to treat each other differently. But it's also a start to how we change and how we be better. And so with that, I'll leave this to other parliamentarians who want to speak to it, what they've what they want to get out of this pledge as well.
Sherry.
So I'll start by signing. Donc, merci beaucoup d'être ici ce matin, cet après-midi. Puis c'était vraiment un plaisir de travailler avec Lindsay sur cette initiative, de continuer la conversation concernant le harcèlement au travail. Je suis une députée de Québec et on a vu plusieurs élus au niveau municipal, provincial, qui ont décidé de ne pas se représenter grâce à l'abus qu'ils souffrent. And so we want to have that conversation that what we do and how we do it, we are role models. Canadians, we represent Canadians. We should be acting as role models. Everything that we do here, everything that we do in committee, in the House, has an impact. And we need to model respectable behavior. Nowhere in Canada would some of the behavior be accepted in the workplace. But for some reason, it's accepted here. And so we're calling on all parliamentarians to sign the pledge, to stand up for one another when we see inappropriate behavior, and hopefully media will help us continue the conversation, call it out when you see it as well, because we want that next generation of elected officials to want to do this job, and we want everyone back here. Donc, merci beaucoup, puis on va continuer la conversation. Puis je suis très fière de ces femmes autour de moi. On a travaillé ensemble, puis on peut continuer la conversation. Merci. Thank you.
I'm not going to speak. I'm just going to speak.
Also, just to draw to your attention that we have both the French and the English of the pledge here, in case anyone wants a close-up of it.
Carol?
Thank you, Heather McPherson. Carol, thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to add that, you know, we need to change the culture that's happening. As Sherry, MP Romanato, has indicated, you know, it makes a difference when we want to have, especially women or people who are of diverse cultures and diverse colors. I just think that it's so important for us if we want to really put the focus on electing more women in politics, that we actually change what has been happening. And it's unfortunate that in Parliament the rules are not being able to be enforced because there is no policy in place. There is for our workplaces, but not for workplaces of parliamentarians. So I think that is so important, and I want to thank the association for what they have done. Thank you. Merci.
Carol. You go ahead. I have signed, but I want to just respond to the invitation to give some specific examples. And my example is going to be from last evening in the Senate, where I have to tell you that one particular senator, a leader of caucus, targeted a woman senator on the issue of reproductive choice. And on and on, very personal. I mean, yes, you can state your differences, but I felt having to silently sit there and hear this diatribe. It is very concerning and it is very upsetting. It's a bit like being contaminated by the language. And I did try to question, and he declined to be questioned. And so I speak only for myself in this, but I watched the faces of other senators, and I think many of us were very deeply affected. So the woman senator being attacked was silenced. The rest of us in trying to question it were silenced, and it just passed on. And I think this is the kind of tacit allowance, that makes it extremely difficult to bring about the kind of changes to which we're committing today.
Well, thanks, Marilou. I'm Donna Dasko. I'm a senator as well, senator from Ontario. I'm really happy to be part of this initiative. As Marilou said, it's all around us, and we have had incidents in the Senate before, actually quite recently, that have received a lot of attention. So we are fighting harassment. Sexual harassment, that was what the Me Too movement exposed. And the Me Too movement also showed us that women can step forward. It takes a lot of courage, but women can have agency and can take action. And I think that's one of the lessons we have to take from the Me Too movement. The kind of harassment we're talking about, harassment in all its forms, online bullying, which I would guess absolutely everybody here is subject to. I certainly am, and that's something that I think does impact on people and women, especially stepping forward into the political sphere. We want women to step forward. Our parliament has only 30% of female women, and we want more women in parliament. And this is one of the things that we must do, is to make this workplace work better for women. So I'm all supportive. We're all going to keep working, because what we're doing, it hasn't just started. We've, this pushback, stepping forward of women has begun many years ago, and we have to keep it going. And that's what I see as of tremendous importance in this initiative. We want to keep focus on this behavior, and we want our workplaces to be better for everyone. So thank you again, and yes, got a sign. Where's the pen? Right here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Colleagues.
Thank you.
Donc, Julie Miville-Dechêne, je suis sénatrice indépendante aux côtés de Marilou et de Donna. Je ne répéterai pas tout ce qui a été dit, mais évidemment, ça me fait plaisir de signer cet engagement parce qu'il faut qu'avant tout, nous nous élevions contre l'intimidation, le harcèlement. Au Sénat, depuis que le Sénat est un Sénat indépendant, nous avons maintenant une nouvelle politique contre le harcèlement qui protège mieux les employés de nos bureaux et tout, mais pas les sénateurs, pas les sénatrices, qui sont évidemment l'objet parfois de cette intimidation. Et récemment, on a eu un cas de 2 sénatrices courageuses qui se sont élevées contre l'intimidation vraiment publique qui a eu lieu dans la Chambre du Sénat. Ça a fait les journaux. Cette intimidation existe encore, même si le Sénat est maintenant une chambre où il y a parité. Et donc, il faut le dire haut et fort, la politique n'est plus ce sport, entre guillemets, viril qu'on a déjà voulu qu'il soit. Et le respect, le débat peut se faire avec respect. Il n'est pas nécessaire de harceler ou d'intimider sous quelque forme que ce soit ses adversaires pour marquer des points. Donc oui, tout cela doit changer pour le mieux. Je pense, moi, qu'il y a quand même déjà eu des changements au Sénat par rapport à il y a 6 ans, quand je suis arrivée, mais je pense qu'il faut continuer et il ne faut pas lâcher prise, parce que ce n'est pas vrai que c'est à nous de nous ajuster à ce qui se passe, mais il faut un ajustement de toutes les parties pour qu'on soit à l'aise de débattre sans risquer d'être intimidé. Merci.
Oh, don't forget to sign.
Ah oui. Merci, Marilou.
Des questions?
There's no men here on stage with you. There's a lot of women journalists in the room. What has the conversations been like with your male colleagues on this issue?
I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that it's the end of session. It's very, very busy. We pulled this together pretty quickly. I've already had several colleagues from my caucus, male colleagues, sign on and talk about what a great initiative this is. So I don't think that that's a statement. It's just a matter of timing, really. It's really important that we all talk about harassment, and that can happen to anyone. And while it is a lot of women here, and talking a lot about women and how we feel that the current environment is so toxic, I think that a lot of men could see that as well. And I know that so many want to be allies and they want to be a part of the solution.
Something you've spoken about and was testified about at PROC was the issue of online harassment and behavior from certain MPs or posts that they make that then sparks or enables like worse online harassment. How do you hold your colleagues accountable for something that they're not, directly doing? If they're putting something out there that you're making the case, okay, this is sparking a barrage of harassment, but how do you actually hold them accountable for something that they're not directly doing?
I think that's an out. There's a responsibility that you have to take. There's leadership that you have to show. It starts with all of us demanding better. So you can say, well, it's not my fault, or I just put out something, but think about for a half a second at least what you're putting out there and the consequences, because it's very deliberate what's being done.
In a practical way, how do you hold that accountable?
So PROC has not completed the study. So we're going to be continuing in the fall as well. And MP Khalid actually brought that up. She said it's the politics of agitation, where an MP will knowingly post something, knowing that it will motivate people to attack the parliamentarian that is the subject of the post. And so during the study of PROC, we're going to be looking at recommendations in terms of how do we deal with that as well. So stay tuned, and we hope that we will, remember, at the end of the day, parliamentarians are using taxpayer money to have Facebook, X accounts and so on, and they're using staff and so on so they're using taxpayer funds for the work that they do on social media and on the various platforms. Is that a possibility of looking into that, saying, look, if you are using taxpayer money to incite hate, it's a problem? So that's something we're looking at PROC, and we anticipate we'll have some recommendations as well in the fall.
I actually just wanted to pick up on that issue, because sometimes it seems like the rules of this place and of the other place are from a different time. They're just, I know, even from among the men, I hear discussions about, do we really need to wear a suit and tie? Like, is that really reflective now of what Canadians look like if they want to look at their parliamentarians and see them reflected back? And so I wonder, do you see a world in which some of this can be dealt with, like in the existing infrastructure of all of the rules, all of the standing orders, all of the governance that exists for Parliament, or is it really just about treating people nicer?
Well, it's not only about that kind of treatment, although that is part of it. Courtesy is a very important part of what we're signing on to here. This pledge is a way of trying to build on what has already been put in place to try and establish some clear values around conduct, professional parliamentary conduct. We also know that there's evidence-based research around the world of the reality that women parliamentarians are targeted more. And so any simple analysis of a decision to post in social media to go after a particular women parliamentarian, or more generally women parliamentarians, that will trigger a disproportionate set of attacks, often horrible, that then women parliamentarians, their staff, other women parliamentarians are very much affected by. I will say in response to the question about male parliamentarians that we're getting answers this morning. The notice went out at 7 o'clock this morning, and we're getting replies, from male parliamentarians as well, saying, of course I'll sign. This is something that we're concerned about. We wanted to launch before the summer adjournment. This is just the beginning. I will also say that in the incident that both my colleague Senator Dasko and Senator Miville-Dechêne referred to, and the incident I referred to, we're talking about the same male parliamentarian, the same male senator. And in the debate following the incident of the attacks on Senatrice Clément and Saint-Germain, many of our male colleagues stood and spoke and talked about the need for more personal, professional accountability on the part of parliamentarians. So we're speaking to that with this pledge. Let's not only have rules, let's not only get better processes in place, the study that we're looking to from the committee, the PROC committee, but let's also look at ourselves, take personal responsibility, and take personal action.
Specifics. How many members of the association are there today, and how many people, aside from yourselves, have signed the pledge so far?
Well, given that we started at 7 a.m. today, I honestly don't know the answer to that because I haven't checked my email since we came up here. But I know that I had over 10 responses around the pledge. As to the question about the Canadian Association of Feminist Parliamentarians, this is in many ways a relaunch of the organization. And it's with Lindsay as co-chair, and we will be reaching out in the fall. We'll be doing more creating of the opportunity. I will say, as COVID hit, we had 75 members, and they were signed up from across all the partisan lines that exist in Parliament.
Okay, and was it this pledge that got it reignited
Yes.
post-COVID?
Yes, in the last 24 hours, yes.
I was wondering if you had, if you had something like other specific examples, I guess, of moments where you think things are maybe getting worse. And I guess my question is whether you think things are actually backsliding for women in Parliament.
I'm happy to.
Yeah.
You can both say something.
You haven't spoken
You haven't spoken yet. So.
All right. Well, yes, from my perspective, things have gotten worse. We're seeing escalating violence against parliamentarians and against all levels of government. Mm-hmm. You know, I think of an example of myself where we just recently learned that Shannon Phillips in Alberta, a member of the Legislative Assembly of Alberta, is not running again because of how toxic it is to be a female parliamentarian legislator in this country. So I do worry about that. And I do think that some of the language, some of the tone that we're hearing from one party in particular is divisive, is insightful, and it has resulted in violence against physical and verbal and online violence against members of Parliament. It is a reason why I think all of us are here today, is because we are not seeing this heading in the right direction. And as we head towards an election, as we head towards an electoral year where we already know that temperatures flare and that things become more escalated, this is a challenge. And I believe that all of us stand here because that is the last thing we want to see. That is the last thing I want to see is a headline that says that another woman has decided not to run for politics because of how toxic it is. The last thing I want to see is that someone is actually hurt in this country because they have been weaponized against parliamentarians.
Why are you saying the word conservative?
Conservative. It's the Conservative Party. Yeah.
I will say that there are allies within the Conservative Party too, and there are parliamentarians who want that positive change within their caucus. We've certainly heard that. This isn't supposed to be a partisan thing. That's why we sent it to all parliamentarians. That's why Senator McPhedran and I wanted to make sure that this was on both sides of Sorry?
I'm ill-behaved.
No, it is true. We've seen more, and there is an incitement. But I knew that I had to say something, that we had to be the change. And so I don't care where that leadership comes from. It's that there's change. I also wanted to say, I mean, I've been trying, for years now, but I'm always having conversations with women in my area, across the country, or any potential candidates. And they're stepping back and they're saying, I don't think that this is the place for me. And one of the incredible strengths that Parliament needs is diversity. It needs to have that variety of voices. It needs to have incredibly strong Francophone women, as Andréane Larouche has come in, who has signed on, again, speaking to that multi-partisan focus here. But I want to be the change that I desire. And so in terms of that backsliding, there have been certain moments, certainly that I have seen, that I can't allow to go anymore. I can't allow this to be where I work. I have to be part of that change. And I don't know if Andréane wants to say something. She just came in, but we're just talking about maybe our own personal experiences and how we want to see some change.
Et signer
and
l'engagement.
Je me rappelle que l'an dernier, en 2023, le 8 mars, avec mon collègue Martin Champoux, nous avions fait du thème des violences envers les femmes, donc une pensée pour les femmes en politique, notre enjeu pour souligner la Journée internationale des droits des femmes, réclamant au gouvernement une loi pour contrer ce problème de haine en ligne. On est encore à avoir ces débats, mais c'était le thème que nous avions choisi l'an dernier, moi avec mon collègue Martin au Bloc, pour souligner ça. Donc, de voir que cet enjeu-là revient. Alors qu'on parle qu'au Québec seulement, c'est 10% des élus qui ont quitté jusqu'à maintenant. Mais ce n'est pas que des femmes non plus, évidemment. Moi, chez moi, c'est sur 20 villes, c'est 2 maires qui ont quitté pour des enjeux de violence, de haine envers des élus. Ça peut toucher tout genre, mais on le sait que les femmes sont touchées d'une façon disproportionnée. Et on parle en milieu de travail. Ici, si on nous ramène à l'enjeu de la lettre, à l'importance de contrer c'est justement ce fléau. Donc, c'est important. Alors, voilà, on va signer. J'aurai des discussions à avoir aussi avec ma collègue Louise Chabot, qui porte cet enjeu justement au niveau du travail, des conditions de l'emploi. Donc, on lui fait suivre la lettre. On fera des suivis avec le groupe et je ferai des suivis auprès de ma collègue. Merci pour cette belle initiative. Donc, je sais.
Oui, c'est ça. Parfait.
Et désolée d'arriver... il y a une dernière période des questions avant les vacances aujourd'hui, hein? Alors...
Ça dérange pas? I just want to add a little bit. So this isn't, it's not a partisan thing. I mean, you know, sometimes it's on the issue, sometimes it's elsewhere. I just want to be clear that, you know, I've been here for 16 years, and I've seen it happen during my 16 years. And yes, it's getting worse. And with the online issues, we've seen it even get even more worse, if I can put it that way. I recently had to charge one of my constituents, but what I can tell you is that the messaging that I am getting, you know, and that are inciting some of this here is similar to messaging that is being put out. But like I said, you know, it's not about parties. It's about making sure that we can foster the change that needs to be done, not just within the House of Commons, but we can show the leadership, because as was indicated, this is at the provincial level, it's at the municipal level, and so we do need to do more. I've had constituents, you know, approach me in certain ways, and I'd say, well, you know, why are you talking to me like that? It's, you know, it's very disrespectful, and, you know, I give you respect. I expect the respect back. We can have conversations and we can be in disagreement, but this should not be tolerated. And their view was that, well, you know, that's how you do it in Parliament. So I just want to say that, you know, we do have to foster that change. A question was asked about the clothing that we wear. You know, and maybe, do we have to wear the ties? Do we have to wear the suits? And it's a conversation that is being had right now. Do speakers have to wear all of the garbs as well? Do the clerks have to wear everything that they're wearing? We've seen other parliaments that have changed that. And so there is conversations going on out there. And I think that that's what we need to do, is continue the conversations on how we foster change to make this a workplace that is that welcomes everybody, and that you can have healthy debates without being attacked.
Exactly.
Merci.
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Merci.
Thank you so much for the help.